Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the 8th workshop for community companions. I'm your host, Zebanissa Rao, and I'm pleased to meet you all here today. My co-host today is Frizana Siddiqui, Assalamu alaikum, who is a trained counsellor and member of our team. Community Companions is a project of Hounslow Muslim Centre designed to support the elderly and vulnerable. Today is the 8th workshop in a series to help engage and empower the elders in our community in matters related to medicine, mental health, legal matters, hobbies, and social activities. Our guest today is Dr. Hamida Sayed. Dr. Hamida is a GP in Birmingham with a special interest in women's health. She is the Fair Access lead at her medical centre. As a GP trainer, she is GP lead for her primary care network. More recently, she has worked as an independent expert with the Islamic Society of Britain and strengthening faith institutions to provide health education to and to promote COVID vaccinations in BAME communities, and is actively promoting and administering vaccinations through the PCN, local practices and mobile units. Dr. Hamida is an executive member of the Muslim Doctors and Dentists Association. Her voluntary work includes community outreach for screening programs, promoting general health education in marginalized communities, such as the South Asian and Somalian populations, also supporting food banks and families in crisis. She has provided general health workshops at local masjids and in the Birmingham Mela. So our topic today is about nutritious eating. This, of course, is an immensely important topic. The saying goes that you are what you eat. But more specifically, what we eat affects us physically and emotionally. Our nutrition can either relieve or aggravate illnesses we may already have and will also help in their prevention. So how can we have the best balanced nutrition and get through the day full of energy and in the best health possible? Dr. Hamida, over to you.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Jazakallah khair, Zebanissa, for inviting me to this program, and thank you very much to all the other members of the group to be present here. The question is nutritious eating. What is nutrition? What do we need? What our body required, and how can we look after ourselves? The need of body changes with time. Obviously, men have different nutritious needs as compared to women. Women in their different stages of life, they have different requirements that the body needs, and they need to fulfill it. Children, from infancy to childhood, and then in the teenage years, their requirement for nutrition is very, very different. The group that not mostly talked about is elderly, and I believe the elderly group of our population needs to look after their diet as much as the younger generation. The importance of having a nutrition diet after a certain age is paramount, and we shouldn't neglect that. What is the specific requirement of every day? It depends on what we're doing, what we're going through that day. If that day is full of activity, involved strenuous exercise, obviously nutritious requirement is different. But if that day is a day that we don't need to exert ourselves that much physically and mentally, then again, our body doesn't need that much energy, and obviously not require that many calories to fulfill the requirements. Same what professions that people do, it affects the nutrition requirement of the day. Our brothers and sisters who are involved in physically demanding jobs from 10 to 12 hours a day, their body requirements for the nutrition and the energy levels that they need to maintain that same level of strength during the whole day is very different as compared to our brothers and sisters who just do a desk job. Their profession is very different. So Zebanessa, there is no fixed standard for everyone. We all have different requirements, and as I said, it changes day by day. What we do, how we plan our day. So people can plan their diet, and we say plan it every week. You know what you're going to do next week, and then plan your meal according to what you're going to do during that next week. Do your shopping accordingly and eat what's required. So it's not less, not excess either.
That sounds like very good advice. I mean, when we go shopping, I have to remember to eat fully before going shopping. Otherwise, there's lots of junk food, desserts, sweets that ends up coming home.
That's why it's important to plan. Important to plan the meal so we know exactly what we're planning to eat for our breakfast, for our lunch, and for our dinner. Because obesity is another epidemic that we are dealing with, and excess amount of sugar and fat that we consume in our diets will end up giving a very harmful effect to our body that can be long lasting.
Absolutely. And I think it comes from perhaps emotional eating as well. The dependency on high carbs, sugars, etc., which leads on to eating too, an imbalanced diet, ill health, diabetes, obesity, etc. What do you think?
So when we say comfort eating, that's the word we use, when we advise our patients in our day-to-day practice, we use a word called lifestyle counseling. That's the generic word that we use. And when we say lifestyle counseling, again, as I mentioned before, if you like to eat, have a balance, plan it, and plan your day that you have at least 30 minutes of active exercise in a day. Your calorie intake is according to your age group, according to your gender requirement. And it can be very easily calculated, how many thousands of calories that you need in a day. In this age of digital technology, different applications are available that we can download, we can plan our meals. Lots of popular applications are there that are recommended by personal trainers, by main lifestyle groups that can be downloaded. So when we talk about comfort eating, perhaps we need to take a step back of why we are doing what we're not supposed to do. Is it that we are reflecting our emotional needs on food, which is harmful? At 20 years ago, 30 years ago, cigarette smoking was very fashionable, and the detrimental effect of excessive smoking nowadays we found out, and there is extreme publicity and restrictions on smoking and big anti-smoking campaigns. I think the problem that we have at the moment is excessive eating, obesity, food everywhere, advertised on all the medias, shops, we are full of the unhealthy stuff that our body doesn't require. And what we found when we counsel our patients, when we talk about lifestyle counseling, when we look at promoting health opportunistically, especially for certain ethnic groups where diabetes, cardiovascular disease, i.e. high blood pressure, and heart disease is very prevalent. We do talk about cutting down on carbs, and when I say carbs, I don't want people to stop sugar completely. I don't like them to just say, oh, we're not going to eat sweet stuff and we will be fine. Is amount of calories that we consume. Because if we are eating less sweet things, but perhaps we are fulfilling the demands of our taste buds with fried foods and our food with lots of fat content in it. And again, when it's come to our body to do a balance between the calories, it either is coming from carbohydrates or it's coming from fat, is excessive, and it results in high cholesterol level. It results in high sugar levels in our body, and hence damaged arteries and damaged pancreas and damaged kidneys that we see become a problem later on in life. So it's looking very monotonous because I'm starting to talk about diseases and how we can prevent it. But prevention is more important than cure. Once people develop diabetes, there is no treatment for diabetes. And I like to emphasize that we cannot treat diabetes. We cannot eradicate it. We cannot get rid of it for you. We can only manage it. So the important thing is not to come to that stage when you need medication as an intervention to control the diabetes. Is important even after your, in your mid-20s and early 30s, that you need to just look at it. Okay, I need to cut down. I have a family history of diabetes, or I am overweight, or my lifestyle is that I can't do enough exercise. Then I really need to give priority. When I say priority, yes, your goals that you need to achieve this in your job role, or you need to do this for your family, or you need to achieve different criteria that you set yourself up. It's important again to prioritize yourself. You look after yourself as a mother, as a breadwinner of the family, our brothers and our fathers. Please prioritize, like you're prioritizing looking after your family. Like it's important for you to bring in certain amount every month. It's also as your GP, I want you to prioritize. You are the most important thing in this equation. If you look after yourself now, you will reap the reward of it in 10, 15 years. You will not develop diabetes. You will not have high cholesterol. Your arteries will not get clogged up with fat. You will not have heart disease. You will not have heart attack. You will not have strokes. And the one thing that we are facing every day increasingly is microvascular dementia. This is quite common, more common than we thought in certain ethnic groups. And microvascular dementia, again, is the result of blockage or ischemia of the very small arteries in our brain that give rise to what we call a second childhood or dementia. So it's just planning ahead, like you are paying certain amount of money every month to save it for your retirement. In the same way, plan, please, think now, and start treating and start managing yourself now, so you will not come to that stage when you need to go to the doctor and say, look, doctor, I have headache. And when the doctor check your blood pressure, you have high blood pressure, or you started to have chest pain, and we do an ECG and we say, oh gosh, you got angina, you got high cholesterol. Oh, by the way, you also have diabetes. So start planning it. Please look into it. Look at your diet, what you've had over last week. It's very simple. Pen and paper. How many calories you have every day, last 7 days. how many calories you need every day. And as I said, there is no specific number that can fit everyone. You can easily calculate it by going into digital devices. That I need 1200 calories, and I just need to stay by that. I don't need to exceed it. Those 1200 calories, to be honest, it really doesn't matter where you get those calories from. You know, if you have 2 bars of chocolates all day, that's fine. Or if you just want to have 3 or 4 small healthy meals, again, that's fine. It's not as rigid. It's not as boring. It's not as demanding as there is a perception out there that, oh, you know, I need to diet, or if I'm dieting, I need to be in a certain frame of mind. So please, we need to change the way we look at nutrition. We need to change the way we look after ourselves. We need to change how we look after our health.
You've given a very good summary of, for adults, that all we need is a certain number of calories. It's our choice what we do with them now, whether we fill our stomachs up with healthy food or just with, sugar all day long. But so that kind of covers, or kind of leads to the different types of diets that are available: Mediterranean, keto, all the other different types that are out there, the Paleolithic. But if we take a step back to, as you say, to go back to the beginning, to the childhood, what would be the perfect balance of, I mean, they refer to them as macros, so protein and carbs, and we have the 4 food groups as well. What would you say is the best balance for children to enable proper growth, healthy growth for them, and then through the ages until they reach adulthood?
I think for children, I think protein, fat, and carbohydrate, these are the 3 more important things. And obviously, vitamins that come from by using multiple fruits and fresh vegetables. To have a small portion of all food groups every day, at least twice a day, is important. And again, for children's growth, calcium and vitamin D is paramount. So please look into the calcium intake for your children. And for absorption of calcium, we need vitamin D. So I really can't emphasize enough how important vitamin D is for our children and for their growth. Daily supplements are available widely over the counter. You don't need a doctor's advice. You don't need a doctor's prescription. Any supermarket will do vitamin D supplements for children and for teenagers. Please start giving them to your children. And it's not for one child, it's for all the number of children that you have in different age groups. They all need vitamin D, and obviously the requirements is different, but they do need vitamin D. And we still see vitamin D deficiency in our children. The important thing in children is iron intake. I have patients, or my patients in certain age groups, they have food fads. That's very common in our children. They eat certain type of food. They will not have red meat, or they not have green leafy vegetables. They both are important source of iron. So when children are coming in with constipation, when children are coming in with tiredness, with flattering growth, and when we refer them for blood tests, the things that come back more commonly abnormal is iron levels. And that's, again, can be easily substituted by looking after their diet, by looking at, okay, every day what my son or my daughter is eating. Is there any iron content in that? And I emphasize dietary iron more than the tablets or syrup form of iron, because dietary iron can easily be absorbed by our body and have less side effects. So if you can make sure that you give your son piece of red meat, and try to make a variety. If they don't want to have it in curry, give them in a roast. If they don't want to roast, make kebabs. If they don't want kebabs, grill them. But it's very important that they have red meat, they have iron in their diet. Iron and vitamin D is very important. Calcium, again, we don't see that much of a problem with calcium because children are good in drinking milk or having yogurts, or there is a substantial amount of calcium in cheese as well. So calcium, again, make sure that they have their milk every day, make sure they have enough amount of calcium every day, but more emphasis on iron and vitamin D. Then when we come to teenage girls, you know, when they stop eating, for the I feel very sad about it when I see young girls and they just stop eating to fulfill certain image for the society, and it's quite heartening really to see what our teenagers put themselves through. And when we do the medical examination, we found that simple vitamins that can be obtained by having fresh fruits and vegetables in their diet is not there. They're lacking that, and due to that, they started to have dizziness. They started to feel faint. They started to feel tired. And because they're teenage girls, they're also going through other changes in their body, you know, hormonal changes. So hence the energy requirement increased, the requirement for iron and calcium is increased. But rather than fulfilling that requirement, they started to starve themselves and causing a very negative effect on their health. So there is education in the school that's given to them, the children. Our children are very, very well aware. And there's a big campaign against childhood obesity in schools at the moment. And our children very much know what not to eat. But it's important. And again, I cannot emphasize enough that it's important to have a balance. It's important to eat, not to starve yourself. When we say obesity, obesity is defined as, we take two measures. It's a scientific way of defining the BMI, body mass index. And body mass index is something that can be that we calculate by putting weight and height in a ratio. So your weight on its own or your height on its own is not important. You need to calculate it. Make sure your BMI is right according to your age, and you have to maintain that BMI. That BMI, again, they're divided into underweight, normal weight, overweight, and obese. Four categories of that this is universal in all age groups and in all genders. So that's important to know what your BMI is. I'm not interested in your weight. I am interested in your weight, but what I'm more interested as a GP is what is your BMI doing? Are you maintaining your BMI? Are you underweight? And if you're underweight, this is not healthy. Yes, you have the perfect image. Yes, it's fulfilling all the social norms that our young girls think they belong to now. But this is not healthy. They complain of headaches. They started to complain of, as I said, dizziness, tiredness. And the reason is because they're not having a well-balanced diet. They're not having a diet that's have vitamin D. They're not having a diet that's have enough iron levels. They're not having the diet that have folic acid and vitamin B12. These are the essential building blocks of nutritious diet, and they really need to. Mothers can and parents can, mothers and father both can emphasize the importance of these ingredients in our teenagers' diet. And it's important when you go out for shopping, when you plan ask children what they need, what they want, and then according to what they want, you need to say, okay, you need this as well. So by avoiding the confrontation, we might win in teenagers. I think that's important, is how we sell it to them. The big trend is at the moment in teenagers is they're all vegans. doctor, I'm vegan, I will not eat meat. How can you tell me to eat meat? Because it's environmentally friendly to be vegan. And there are big campaigns in our universities, in our colleges, in our children who are doing A levels to become vegans, or to have vegetarian diet and not to have meat. I am not against that. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be vegan, because vegetarian diet or vegan diet can be full of nutrition and can fulfill all the requirement. But when we said, oh, we are becoming vegetarian now, it's important to fulfill the iron levels, the calcium levels, and the vitamin D levels through the vegetarian resources. Do your research before you decided to become a vegan. Tell your mom, tell your dad, I am decided that I'm not going to have meat. So mom and dad can sit down, make a meal plan, make your diet full of the requirements of the nutrition that they need, that you will be losing out by becoming a vegetarian. Again, I can't really emphasize enough in communicating with teenagers and children in all ages, at all levels, from parents to sit down and say, okay, if you're not eating, why you're not eating? If you don't want to eat this, why you're not eating this? Come to a conclusion, come to a decision, work together, work with your children. Because what I see as a GP is there is lack of communication. It's just mum have her own ideas. Oh, she just want to eat crisp and chocolate, and she will not have her roti. And I said, that's not necessarily a fight that I like to fight. Fine, if she wants to have chocolate one day, you can just make her some pancakes of the day with some chocolate spreads. You can just look at some French toast with chocolate spreads. Just work with your children, please. It's important to work with them. It's important to communicate with them. So little things that can be avoided very easily. And again, if we look after especially diet of our teenagers, if we give them a healthy start in life, we are not only looking after their physical health, but also their emotional health. And we will take out the negativity from the equation when parents and children work together. And that is most important thing really in the children and parents, adults, parent and the children group. And same again with toddlers, when you start to wean the baby, and when toddlers going through certain stages, obviously terrible twos when they're in when they turn 3, they again have they just experimenting different things. And again, it depends how curious your child is, how experimental food you can, how much time you can give. It's important not to force feed them. It's important not to just say, okay, I think this is healthy for you and I just want you to eat that. Oh, doctor, he's not having his greens. Oh, doctor, he's not had his fruit or vegetables. I said, fine, just take the fruit and vegetables off for 10 days from the menu, then try to reintroduce it slowly. He will come to terms with it. He will try to listen to you, make up stories, make food fun rather than a fight. So I hope that's answered your questions, Ebenezer. When we talked about children and childhood and teenagers, these are the problems that we face as GPs, and these are some solutions that I suggested.
Definitely, that is very helpful, and especially it's a refreshing kind of attitude to go along with the child and not force them, and not to kind of become rigid and make it an even bigger problem, because I think that's perhaps a kind of mentality that we've been using previously, maybe previous generations as well, and we might be guilty of it too. So that makes it worse for the children, and they can develop eating habits which are difficult in the future. So yes, it's very, there's a lot of information out there about what kind of meal plans to have, but is there a particular website or any resources that you can recommend to create a balanced meal plan for yourself as for children and for adults?
So there are quite different websites are available, and I think again I will not recommend anyone, because if it just depends how user friendly the website is. Different website will appeal different groups of patient population. So please go experiment, and all I suggest is just go with something that's authentic, something that you just need to see who created this website, what's the sources they're using, and what interests, if there is any interest declared, whoever made that website, are they selling certain products to you, then I'll be very mindful of using that website if they are promoting their own products or their own applications, or they're selling their own they're selling this themselves in one way or the other. I will just go to there's a website called patient.co.uk, and this is NHS based website. And if you search for nutritious diet for children or for elderly, it will just give you lots of information and also signpost you to different authentic websites. But I will not promote those websites which have their own gain in by selling certain miracle vitamins or certain miracle foods or certain miracle sachets to make you and your family best in nutritious needs. Please don't trust them. Please don't. You can trust them if you like to, but please make your own investigation first before buying their products.
Jazakallah, that's very good advice. Thank you. Brother Yunus has a question. Would you like to go ahead?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Couple of questions is about energy and requirement. Because I work in the voluntary industry, and energy is paramount to how your day goes. Doctor, can you explain to me what kind of energy drinks are out there and how they can be consumed?
Thank you. Very important, very important question, Brother Yunus. Energy drinks and protein shakes and protein powder. Again, I get asked lots of time, doctor, what do you think? What protein powder I should use? Is this energy drink is safe for me? And is energy drinks is important for me to go through my day? Mm-hmm. So there are lots of energy drinks, lots of miracle drinks, I call them, out there, and they work for that time being. As I said, our brothers who are doing very labor intensive work, they said, I really need that drink, doctor, because without that I can't go through my day. I really need mm-hmm. that drink. Again, what is in that drink before you buy that drink? I know it works. I've seen the evidence that it works wonders. People have more active brains, and they can focus better, and they can do very labor intensive works for hours. But please sit back and see what's in them. Most of them, not all of them, use stimulants, and stimulants are not that something that we recommend. Stimulants can come in different ways and forms, from caffeine, nicotine, to lots of similar products and ingredients are out there, and they are not healthy in long term. And again, as I said, at the moment, brothers are in prime of their lives, in the early 20s, early 30s. They think that they can do that, but please bear in mind that what you are giving to your body now, it will affect you later on. And what I find, if you're using any form of any stimulant, even if you start drinking coffee, regular coffee, you need coffee every day. If you started to drink an energy drink, I'm not going to name any, but you said, oh, I need that again for this shift of mine. I can't go through this shift without 2 cans of this or without 4 cans of that. So you are getting dependent on that stimulant. And stimulant in any way or form is not advisable, because anything that your body get dependent on is not advisable. Stimulants affect your kidneys, and when brothers use these stimulant, or sisters use these energy drinks, they will notice that they end up going to pass urine quite a lot, because it's really making them dehydrated. It's really affecting the kidneys. So please don't use energy drinks. If you have carbohydrates that are saturated carbohydrates that last long every day, if you have brown bread for the breakfast, if you have brown pasta for your lunch, 3 regular meals with complex carbohydrates and protein will give you the same amount of energy without any stimulants and without any harmful effects in it.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Is that the same advice for protein shakes as well, or?
No. That's a different topic for another day. But thank you very much for my question.
Thank you for the answer. But for protein shakes, because a lot of people do depend on them, they don't have time to cook, and so we'll just have a protein shake. Is that a good idea, or?
Again, Zebina, so what is in that protein shake? So during Ramadan, protein shakes they become very trendy all of a sudden. Both brothers and sisters having protein shakes with dates in it, or with pistachio nuts in it, or with whole grains in it that's soaked overnight. That's absolutely fine. There is no harm in that. As I said, there's no harm in using the protein shakes that you make at home. You know exactly what you're putting in them. There are no preservatives as such in when you make those shakes. And again, you can buy the protein shakes from the shops, but again, read the finer point. Look at the E numbers. Look at what is in those protein shakes. And if you're happy, the ingredients are genuine, and it's have no harmful ingredients, by all means use them, as long as that protein shakes is giving you that number of calories that you need to fulfill your calorie intake for the day. That's absolutely fine. That's the requirement of our modern day life. We don't have time to cook, we don't have time to shop, we don't have time to chop fresh vegetables. Again, microwavable meals are very trendy in students who go to university. And again, that's fine, as long as the ingredients, the fat content, the salt content, the sugar content is according to your daily requirement. That's absolutely fine. I am not against them, but please read the print. Low salt, low sugar, low fat content, high in good protein, and low in fat is what we're looking from any ready meals.
Thank you for that answer. There are quite a few questions. I think this last one might lead on to some people feel sick when they eat breakfast. So what do you advise? And that can be in children and adults, especially when there's a drive to school, there could be travel sickness. So what, and especially because there's a fashion for breakfast being the mightiest meal of the day. Is that harmful if they skip breakfast? Or what do you advise about that?
I think breakfast is important meal of the day, because it will provide the calories that we need in the better half of the day. From morning to say late afternoon, when we will have the chance to have our next meal. So yeah, breakfast is important. I'm feeling sick. after having my breakfast, or I'm not used to having a breakfast, or I can't have breakfast, doctor, because I'm not hungry in the morning. I can't force myself, and come 10 o'clock, I need to eat. Can I just say that, especially for our Muslim viewers, we and our bodies are adaptable. Beautiful month of Ramadan, we eat before sunrise, and we are fine with that. We managed to do it. It's all about, mind over body. It's all about saying to yourself, this is important. Fine, I can just eat one date for breakfast today, or I can just have one banana for breakfast today. That's absolutely fine. But then when you have your lunch, have a small lunch. When you have your dinner, have a small dinner. Come next morning, you will be hungry for your breakfast. And you can have a banana and an apple and a glass of milk. And then again, you have less for your lunch, you have less for your dinner. And come the third morning, you will have a full breakfast, So it's all over mind over body. It's all about mind over body. It's how we think and how we can train ourselves. We can easily train our bodies. I don't think there is anything impossible for us to do. My only point is, do it now. Do it while you still have time. Do it while there is no harm done to your body. Because if you are going every day without breakfast, and if you need to do lots of things during that morning, when we are under stress, we produce increased acid, and that gives rise to heartburn, indigestion, and then stomach ulcers. So that's the consequences that I've seen when you not have your breakfast every day for last 5 years. It's not gone anywhere. It's affected your body. Your body took the toll due to that. So just preempt it. Just start looking after yourself. Just start to train your routine. Start to train your body before it causes any irreversible harm. Because once you develop an ulcer, we can give you medication to heal the ulcer, but again, we cannot get rid of it completely for you. If your body is under stress for one reason or another, your ulcer will start again. So please start to have that breakfast in the morning. Change your meal plans. Make sure you're more hungry during the day. You will eat. If you want to have small breakfast, that's fine, because big breakfast can make you feel sick. Again, have a bar of protein in the morning rather than having a bowl of cereal. Perhaps you not feel sick. On a hot day like this, no one wants to have a big breakfast, but if you have your protein shakes in the morning with lots of ice in it, that's absolutely fine. So adapt, but make your body a priority, not the work, not the school, not the college. I know they are priorities as well, but you need to look after yourself. That's more important than anything else.
MashaAllah, Dr. Hamda, you have given such a good message to the youngsters. Really appreciate it. It's very, very informative, because I have grandchildren and I can give example, each of them. One has become vegan, he's 20-year-old, and my daughter tried to talk to him, no, but he did it for 1 year. And only last week he said, no, I have done it now, I'm going back to meat. But now he's not able to digest. It will take time for him. So this is an example. More, as you say, that in our religion is moderation also. So and pray that youngsters also believe in this and then follow the right thing. You have given such an informative talk, really, mashallah. Very, very important. You have explained everything for us, mashallah. Can I ask, what about, suppose somebody is on borderline of diabetes, one date is all right, not 2 or 3?
I think, again, borderline diabetes, we call it pre-diabetes or borderline diabetes. It's, again, very common. We see that in younger age group, as well as people, who are in their mid-30s to early 40s. Pre-diabetes, again, when things started to show in your blood, again, by the time the doctors start to call you and said, oh, look, you have pre-diabetes, the changes in the body that started to get that result of pre-diabetes started 4 or 5 years before that. So when I say pre-diabetes, I really want you to have no date at all, no date at all, you really need to cut the carbohydrates out as much as you can. You need to rely on alternative source of energy, which could be in a form of protein rather than fat, and which could be, as I said, a protein that we can easily get from lentils, pulses, and again, white meat rather than having it from other sources. So an exercise. Pre-diabetes is mostly happen when we started to develop visceral fat as well. Visceral fat, I don't know if many of you are aware, visceral fat is inside us, is covering our internal organs. So sometimes, your doctor will say, you have lots of fat on your liver, you have fatty infiltration of your liver. You don't have that much fat in your body, but there is lots of fat around your liver. Or you have, what we called belly fat, especially in middle-age groups, especially in women of certain ages, we started to have belly fat, and we find very difficult to get rid of that belly fat. And again, those two things, the belly fat and the visceral fat are the precursors of pre-diabetes. So but when we come to the stage of pre-diabetes, we really need to get rid of that fat. We really need to start exercising. We really need to go back to the basic. What is our BMI? So if you reduce your weight, your pre-diabetes, when the blood tests get checked again, and your GP should be doing a yearly blood check for pre-diabetes, because that's what we're supposed to do. And you should be getting leaflets and information, and perhaps get referred to certain dietetic programs and certain exercise program, because we really don't want you to become diabetic. That's our struggle. If we can withhold that process per se for 5 years, we can minimize the damage that diabetes can have on your eyes, on your kidneys, on your arteries, on your heart. So it's all about minimizing the effects. So if your doctor said you are pre-diabetic, I will take it as you are diabetic. I will take it seriously. Don't take it lightly. Please reduce your weight. That's important. If you can have one date and don't have anything else for that morning, and that's okay for you, one date and a glass of milk, that's fine. You don't. But if you have a date now and then a handful of grapes for the lunch, and a watermelon, a couple of mangoes in the evening, this is not going to get rid of the pre-diabetes for you. When we say diabetes, we need to look at the calories. Our body doesn't need calories anymore. It doesn't have the ability to utilize the sugars as calories anymore. So stop giving your body sugar. Look at other sources of energy and exercise. That's the most important thing, really.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I used to be very regular walking and all, have stopped everything, and now, unfortunately, eating too many carbohydrates. I have this thing in mind that if I don't eat chapati at night, I'm not able to sleep.
That's absolutely fine. If that chapati that's important for you, because perhaps that chapati is giving you the basal level of energy that you need, the background level of energy that's important. But again, if you doing that exercise and you spend all that energy that you gain due to that chapati, that's absolutely fine. It's a balance, how many calories we have and how many calories we spend. Is just to have the right balance. That's important.
I know. I wish. I could go back to my normal that I was, but nowadays everything is just upside down.
It's
Thank you.
difficult. It is difficult.
Thank you so much.
Okay. We do have quite a few questions. There's a question that what foods can you advise for memory, and another one to reduce inflammation of the body.
Anti-inflammatory foods, very trendy. Gosh, this is the trend at the moment. How can I reduce the inflammation in my joints, doctor, by eating certain foods? I've seen these foods worked. There are no credible researches that have been done on these ingredients. I have to say there are no what we call randomized control trials that approved by the scientists or credible journals that have been done on certain foods. But I've seen it works. Some of my patients, they take turmeric, they take turmeric in the diet, they have turmeric tea, or they have turmeric in milk every day. And turmeric have anti-inflammatory properties, and it helps. It helps their joint pain. It helps to restore their pain due to arthritis. So turmeric is the one that I've seen worked wonderfully. The other things that are available that I've seen, especially in patients with arthritis, that worked is collagen. Collagen again is a form of protein. Collagen available in lots of forms, both vegetarian and non-vegetarian form, and it helps. It helps the joint health. It helps the swelling of the joints. It helps the pain due to arthritis. So I will recommend people who have arthritis or arthritic pain, please try turmeric and collagen. They seems to work. As I said, there are no publications done and no scientific trials being done, but it seems to work in certain age groups for certain patients of mine.
And the other sorry,
the other question was?
It was about memory. Any foods to help with the memory?
I have not seen anything at the moment that I can say, oh, it worked. I really seen it helps the memory, so no, because I think memory is something very different. Arthritis, the disease process and the way arthritis develop is very different as compared to memory problems, or the more problematic memory problems. We call them dementia. The reasons behind dementia is multifactorial. Depression and dementia go hand in hand. Problem that people have when they find difficult to focus is again depend on multiple things. So there is again no miracle food for memory, and I don't think it works like that. The way our brain works and the things that help to maintain good memory is doing crosswords, is doing some maths puzzles, doing jigsaw puzzles, just keeping your brain active, keep thinking, learning new skills, learning to ride a bicycle, as I said, learning new skills, keeping your brain active. Memory and food, there is no link that's established that we've seen so far. There might be some research done in later years, and they might say, oh, this food is related to good memory. But so far, the more you use your brain, the good memory you will have for later years in your life. So important just to keep active, keep learning the new skills, keep doing the jigsaws, keep doing the crosswords, keep solving the puzzles, there are lots of brain trainers games available that I recommend my elderly patient to do, and they enjoy them, There are some coloring books that seems to stimulate the memory, and that's recommended, some adult coloring books, but I'm sorry, I have a limited knowledge on what food can help the memory.
There's a concept of brain fog, if you've heard of that. Is that related to food, or is that just stress or other issues? What do you think?
I think brain fog is usually used when we can't focus, when we feel a bit disorientated in time, place, and person, and it is transient phenomena. And again, it's not related to food. And I don't think that is simply related to stress either. Again, multifactorial, what time of the day you have that brain fog, what were you doing before that, what were you doing after that, how tired you were, how much sleep you had, So it's as I said, brain and food, there is no link. There's no established link. When we talk about, the metabolic processes, that's the big scientific word. When we talk about when nutritious, healthy nutrition get utilized in the body and effect on the body, or harmful nutritious food get utilized and affect negatively on the body, that's affected by the metabolic processes. Brain, focus, memory is a different dimension altogether. And something as simple as food and nutrition is important to have a balanced diet. It's important to have a sustained glucose level for your brain to function. But will it make you more clever? Will it help your memory? To be honest, I've not come across anything like that. There might be, as I said, there might be certain foods out there that I'm not aware of, but please try and see if it works.
Thank you for that answer. There's one more question that I know time is running out, but it's to do with cholesterol, that statins have had a lot of bad press over the years, that they cause side effects and they do not work. So just wanted to ask, do statins actually work to reduce cholesterol, or are there other suitable alternatives?
Statins work. Statin is a miracle drug. 20 years ago, we find very, very difficult to save someone who have a massive heart attack, and they have a second heart attack or a third heart attack, and within a matter of years, they just, their life expectancy was affected by it. But since the introduction of statins, it really helped us to manage that ischemic heart disease. Doctors feel that they can save their patients. Doctors feel that they can manage the patient with heart disease with statins. Doctor feels that if the patient uses statins, they're less likely to have open heart surgery. They're less likely to have surgical procedure to save their lives. So I know statins have really bad press, but statins are not new drugs anymore. We're using them for the last 15 years at least. And there are lots of new statins are available. There are lots of variation in the statins that your GP can try. If one didn't suit you, you can try the other one. And if you have problem with the statin, you cannot tolerate any statins, there are alternatives medication that your GP can prescribe to lower your cholesterol. We can help you. But again, the person that the thing that can help you the most is yourself, just cutting down the fat in the diet. It's simple as that. It's just having grilled food. It's just looking at what you're eating. I'm not feel very comfortable when my patient continue to have what they're having, but they want me to prescribe more and more medication for them, and they can simply help themselves by changing their diet or reducing their weight. So statins have the bad press, but they're not as bad as they just had a poor PR. I think that's all it is.
Thank you very much for that answer. We do have more questions, but I'm mindful that we've run out of time. So I guess we'll have to end it here. Just if you'd like to offer feedback for the sessions for the audience, please do so in the workshop WhatsApp group. I'd like to thank the attendees for your time and attention, and I'm sure that you found this topic useful and learned much that would be of benefit.
Alhamdulillah, we have learned a lot.
An absolutely amazing and informative talk.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, and Sister Hamida is just so down to earth, and you know, she has vast wealth of knowledge there for us to learn from, mashallah.
Thank you so much.
So from all of us, Sister Hamida, thank you for such an engaging presentation. And thank you, Sister Fazana, for your participation and support.
Thank you so much for being here. And I really learned a lot. And every workshop you arrange, it's been a very wonderful learning process for me. Thank you so much, Zebulisa.
Yes, thanks to our guests. And I hope this will be the first of many with Dr. Hamida, inshallah.
Inshallah, inshallah. Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum.